Enzo Maresca, what have you done? Enzo Maresca, what have you done? What did you do at Bergamo last night? Was that football? Maresca, that was not football. That was anti-football. What you did at Bergamo in Italy against Atalanta in the second half was anti-football. That was not football. There's nowhere it is written in the tactics of football that what you did yesterday can be justified. What you did yesterday was anti-football. You single-handedly blew it away. A game that Chelsea actually came into, even though we started the match so slowly, but gradually we came into the game. Atalanta started the game in their usual way, with high attacking fluidity. But Chelsea grew into the game gradually, took control of the game. And in the 25th minute, beautiful cross from Rhys James. And that was actually pushed in between the goalkeeper's leg. It was a goal. Vera checked, and the goal stand. João Pedro gave Chelsea the lead. Beautiful. Fair play. Good game. Chelsea took the lead 1-0 in Italy. And the first half ended in that manner, 1-0. Coming into the second half of the game, in the 48th minute, Enzo Maresca made a substitute. Took off Trevor Chalobah, brought on Wesley Fofana. Fair play, good substitution, likes for likes. Because Trev already was on a yellow card, so in order not to cause any disbalance in the game, Trev has to go off. And Wesley Fofana came into the game. And after West came on into the game, Atalanta equalized in the 55th minute through Scamacca. Beautiful cross from Ketalera. But in the first place, that goal, Chelsea shouldn't have allowed that goal. But that was a defensive error. Wesley Fofana shouldn't have allowed Scamacca to head in that goal. That was a free header. Because already, Robert Sanchez was already out of position. Robert Sanchez was just at the end of the goalpost for a cross that was taken almost close to the edge of the box from the right side. The cross beat Robert Sanchez and got connected with Scamacca. Atalanta leveled up, 1-1. Chelsea was still in the game, but all through the first half of that game, the way Enzo Maresca set up the team, even though I have my reservation for Enzo Maresca's selection, but then I've always talked about the team rotation. I've always talked about his team selection. That when you're going into Champions League game, you make your selection that this is Champions League football. You can't be going for Champions League football and you expect, and you're rotating your team. You tinker your team. You tinker your team to the point that it looks like you're going to play a Carabao Cup. No, it's not done. How did Chelsea set up in that particular game? Usual in a 4-2-3-1 formation. In goal was Robert Sanchez. The fullback was Marco Corella at the left and George Achampong at the right. The centre-back pairing was Benoit Badiashile and Trevor Chalobah. The midfield pivot was Rhys James and Moses Caicedo. The three attacking midfield trio was Jimmy Gittins at the left, Enzo Fernandez in the number 10 role, and Pedro Neto. Up front was João Pedro. Fair play. On a good day, this selection should have gotten the job done against Atalanta. So, the first half ended 1-0 in favor of Chelsea, courtesy of goal from João Pedro. Beautiful assist from Rhys James. Chelsea were in control of the game. Coming into the second half of the game, Trevor Chalobah off for a yellow card. Wesley Fofana came on. It becomes two centre-back pairing of Benoit Badiashile and Wesley Fofana. Arguably and currently, the best centre-back Chelsea is currently having. No doubt. Enzo Fernandez's performance all through the night yesterday was criminal. Enzo Fernandez was looking like a player who is finished. So, We expected the changes. Personally, where I was watching, I expected the manager to make substitution for that particular game. And what did Enzo Maresca did? The substitution we expected Enzo Fernandez to actually came out. Enzo Fernandez and Pedro Neto was substituted at the 66th minute after Atalanta had leveled up. Because this time around, what we needed more attacking-minded players that could actually keep the defense line of Atalanta at their toe in order to create out something out of nothing for Chelsea to be able to get that needed goal. But what did Enzo Maresca did? Brought out Enzo Fernandez and Pedro Neto. Guess who actually came on? Enzo Maresca made a substitute. Took off Enzo Fernandez and Pedro Neto. Brought on Malo Gusto and Alejandro Garnacho. What in a blue hell was such kind of a substitute? Enzo Maresca was acting like someone who is high on something. You took off Enzo Fernandez, who was playing the attacking role, the number 10 role, and you brought on Malo Gusto and Alejandro Garnacho. Okay, what is the game plan? Total anti-football. Alejandro Garnacho went to the left side, the left wing. Jimmy Gittins, who is a left wing player, has never played in the right wing, was brought in to play in the right wing. And Malo Gusto was now playing in number 10 role. Does that actually make sense in footballing terms? Does that make any sense? What was Enzo Maresca actually thinking? What was he thinking? You brought out Enzo Fernandez. One would have expected that Andre Santos be introduced into the game. You didn't do that. But what you end up doing against Atalanta, we have four fullbacks in the team. 4 fullbacks. Marco Cucurella was in the team. George Achampong was in the team. Malo Gusto was in the team. Rhys James was in the team. 4 fullbacks in a game against Atalanta. Enzo Maresca, what have you done? What did you do? What were you thinking? This is not football. You single-handedly blew the game away. You gave the winning to Atalanta. You gave the winning to them. You gave the winning to Atalanta. Because what you did was not football. At some point, I was struggling to understand where is Malo Gusto actually playing? What has Enzo Maresca actually done? Only to find out that Malo Gusto was playing the number 10 role. And you have Gustavo William on the bench, not used. You have Andre Santos on the bench, not being used. And you went for Malo Gusto when you already have George Achampong in the field. You have Rhys James on the field. At some point, it was looking like Chelsea were playing a 3-4-3 formation with Pedro Neto playing the right wing back, and Marco Cucurella also playing the right wing back, because the defense, the three back line was now George Achampong, Badia Chile, was now George Achampong, Tosin Adarabioyo, who later came on for Wesley Fofana, that was injured, who was actually hit in his eye, who was actually hit on the eyes with the boot of Cucurella. It was now George Achampong, Tosin Adarabioyo, and Badia Chile. Then Marco Cucurella was looking like one who is playing as a left wing back. Same with Pedro Neto. And up front you have the three forward. You now have Jimmy Gittins in the right wing and Alejandro Garnacho. The center was João Pedro. That was not what we expected going into this game. What has Enzo Maresca done? What actually came over you? You act like someone who was actually high on something. Your tactical management last night was poor. It was very poor. That was not the sort of game we expected. What have you done? What have you done? Just like we said in our local palace here in Nigeria, a dirty December. It's a season of celebration, but indeed it's a dirty December for Chelsea Football Club with what Enzo Maresca is doing. 3 games in the month of December, 1 point out of possible 9 points. In the last 4 games, Enzo Maresca has not gotten a win. The last 4 games, we've lost 2 and drawn 2. We drew against Arsenal the 30th of November, 2025. We played 1-1. Went to Elland Road, lost to Leeds United by 3-1. Went to Bournemouth, played a goalless draw. And last night, Enzo Maresca against Atalanta in the UEFA Champions League. lost 2-1 to Atalanta with his poor tactical approach to the game when it comes to substitution. What Enzo Maresca did last night was anti-football. Not accepted anywhere in football. Not when you have tactical players, attacking-minded player on the bench, but you loaded your teams with defenders, all-round defenders in the game. What did Enzo Maresca did? That was not what we actually bargained for. That was not what we were expecting. You've played 6 games in the UEFA Champions League, 2 left to be played. 6 games in the UEFA Champions League, yet to pick an away win. It's terrible. I can understand this is your first season in the UEFA Champions League, coming from Championship as a manager. But then, what are you trying to show? Because this begs for question. What did you stand? What did you stand to gain when you feel you have a tactical approach? And when you feel you have a tactical managerial skill against Paris Saint-Germain, when you feel you have a tactical approach to games against Arsenal, when you feel you have a tactical approach to game against Liverpool, when you feel you have a tactical approach to game against Barcelona. And those are games that ordinarily they should be very tough for Chelsea, but those are games that you easily got the job done. But games that we are expected to pick all 3 points, Enzo Maresca will blow it away, either with his selection or with poor substitute. That is what Enzo Maresca did last night. What have you done? Couple of games we have complained about Tosin, most especially in the game against Leeds United. We saw how poor Tosin Adarabioyo was in the game. Last night you brought on Tosin as a substitute. 6 or 7 minutes later, with a silly tackle, gave Atalanta a free kick. That was what resulted to the goal. Beautiful goal scored by Cattarella to give Atalanta the lead. Cattarella was simply the man of the match in that game. Provided the first assist for Scamacca and went on to score the winning goal for Atalanta beautifully. That was a beautiful job done by the Atalanta team. Job well done. Tactical approach to the game, I mean, for Atalanta was good because they saw the lapses, they saw the inept and poor approach you actually use for the game when it comes to substitution. What on the blue hell did you do? What sort of a substitute was that? That you have Malo Gusto, Rhys James, George Achampong, Mark Cucurella, and you now have 2 defenders in Tosin Adarabioyo and Badiashile alongside Moses Caicedo in the game. 7 defensive-minded players. Is it 7 or 8 defensive-minded players in the game against Atalanta? That was uncalled for. That was not what we expected. Personally, I have defended your rotational principle when it comes to your game. But then, it goes to show that you have these lapses at every point in time when you are a bit under pressure. That is what it goes to show. It's either you'll be found wanting in substitution or you'll be found wanting when it comes to selection. That is just what it goes to show. And so Maresca, you blew it away. You actually threw the game away. You cost Chelsea 3 points against Atalanta. And that means in the last 4 games, 12 points. You have picked just 2 points. But in the last 3 games in the month of December, you have picked just 1 point. Lose 2 games. No away win in the UEFA Champions League this season. And we are Chelsea. Come on. That goes to show the inconsistency that Enzo Maresca is actually putting us through at every point in time. Whenever we lost game, believe me, we don't lose game because we didn't play well. We lost game because of Enzo Maresca's poor tactical approach to game. That is what happened. Any game we have lost this season is Enzo Maresca's poor tactical approach to that particular game. And that is just what he actually went on to show game in, game out. Games that ordinarily we expected to win. Enzo Maresca will now think he is in a coaching school again. He wants to learn new tactics with different set of players. And he will gamble it. Enzo Maresca cost Chelsea all 3 points last night against Atalanta. What do you make of that performance last night against Atalanta as Chelsea were beaten 2-1 in the UEFA Champions League? And currently as it stands, Chelsea currently sits 11th in the UEFA Champions League standing, while Atalanta currently went 3rd in the table, pending other matches that will be played today. That would have been Chelsea's position in the UEFA Champions League standing, pending other matches to be played today. But Enzo Maresca blew it away. And currently, we are 11th in the UEFA Champions League standing. And we might just go further down if other teams win their games today. What do you make of Enzo Maresca's performance and the team yesterday as we lost 2-1 to Atalanta? Drop your thoughts down below. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to my channel. Thank you very much for watching, and catch you in the next video.